The Orange defense took away any chance the Noles had at a win in Syracuse as the Orange handled FSU 30-7 in front of 37,457 fans. And Syracuse starts 3-0, proving the preseason experts' predictions of 2 wins to be absolute trash. They do that in just 3 games. Our thoughts on the game, your thoughts on the game. Joe goes 3-0 in his MyBookie picks, and we give away some more stuff. I'm Sean. This is the Cuse Militia Podcast.
Is that an orange in your pants, or are you just happy Cuse won? Make some noise, Orange fans. It's time for the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. Give us a like on Facebook at Cuse Militia Podcast and follow on Twitter at Cuse Militia. The right of the people to keep and wear orange shall not be infringed.
All right, what's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. We have just a ton of stuff to get to today. But first, as always, if you're using any other betting site other than MyBookie, you're doing it wrong. Remember, who you're betting on is just as important as who you're betting with. That's why I always tell people to bet with MyBookie. Trust me, they are the best bet this season. I would only recommend a service to my listeners that's been good to me. That's why I'm urging you to make your way to MyBookie. You win, they pay. They have in-game live betting, over-unders on fantasy points scored, and the most rewarding player perks in the business. MyBookie is now slammed with new bettors and wants to give everyone the best service possible. If you're willing to deposit after 7 p.m. Eastern Time, they'll give you an additional $25 free play on deposits over $100. You deposit $100, you get $125. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar. You can do it this way too. Just enter promo code Cuse to activate that offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie, and don't forget to use the promo code Cuse when creating your account to claim up to $1,000 in free play. Now, if you're willing to hold out until after 7 p.m., you can get that extra $25 by using the promo code CUSE25, okay? Deposit at least $100, you'll get $125 tacked on. That's the way I would go. Wait a couple more hours, get the extra money. Now remember, you play, you win, you get paid. MyBookie. All right, so, 3-0. First time since 2015, right? Did I get that right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and then we got UCONN coming up. We're going to get into all of that stuff. But first, real quick, the Twitter accounts, they're going to be merging. Okay, we're going to do that eventually coming up soon. So I'll send out a tweet about that to merge those 2 accounts if possible. So recording, we would like to record on Sundays. That doesn't always work. This time we were waiting on the line for the UConn game for the preview. So Joe could make his pick there on that. And just, it'll be Monday at the latest, just so everybody knows, which is what it's been. So,
yeah.
All right. So Dungy left late in the second. He was 7 for 15 for 75 yards. He rushed 9 times for 33 yards, but it was DeVito who took the reins and really impressed finally coming out. He was 11 for 16, 68% passing for 144 yards and a TD. No interceptions, and he also rushed for a TD. Moneal rushed 19 times for 75 yards. Strickland, 36 with a touchdown. Jarvion Howard ripped off a beautiful 45-yard sprint that even Stephen A. tweeted about. He was watching. He finished with 55. Custis led receivers with 56. Ravion Pierce with 34 yards and a TD. Florida State's offense sputtered most of the day. They did tack on some late yards, though, ending up with 240 overall to the Orange's 441 overall. FSU's Cam Akers with 52 yards on 10 carries. The Syracuse D was awesome. Kendall Coleman, Alton Robertson, and Kingsley Jonathan combined for 4 sacks. Christopher Frederick came up with an interception. Syracuse has now 6 on the year, and they only had 4 the entire 2017 season. So, awesome. That's just a night and day. Yeah. Finally, the Orange defense only allowed FSU to convert 1 of 14 third downs and 10 3-and-outs. So, Joe, here's my question. Is Syracuse again becoming more than a basketball school like Dungy said? Or is the Orange just starting the season with 3 easy games like critics claim?
Again, a lot of the questions that you that you asked, the answer could definitely be both, but I'm going to go with the.
It wouldn't be fun if it was easy. Go on.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to go with the first one, and the reason why is based upon how they did it and how they acted upon it. I mean, I know that there was a big post-game speech after and this and that. I mean, we haven't beat them in, 52 years?
Since
something
66.
Like that.
I don't know. You tell me.
I think it's 52. I think that the math is right.
Yes,
but
it is right. You're right.
Either way, that's something to be proud of, and the fact that it is still Florida State. They still have, before Jimbo Fisher left, he was getting top 10 in recruiting classes every year. So they have the talent, but they're just going through a transition. And we caught him early in the right time.
Yeah, caught him early was key, I think, too.
Oh, it definitely could be the key, because this is definitely, again, Babers talked about it before the game, saying that this team has talent and they're ready to explode on a team. Obviously, there's some things that they got to get together, but their defense definitely kept them in the game, at least there for a while. We dominated that first half, and 6-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
And all the FSU fans, I'm sure, everywhere were like, yeah, we should be up way more if we lose this game, it's because of the offense. And then, obviously, second half, we come out, and I think that that their offensive line started giving up more and more, and our offense, or their defense, was starting to get tired. There were some guys cramping up, some guys getting hurt, and we took advantage of that with being fresh and being ready to play in that heat and in that speed. And that's really all it was. You could tell by their – I mean, like, you didn't see a Gatorade dunk. You didn't see fans rush the field. There's been – I mean, albeit they're not a ranked team, but they were in the beginning of the year. But because of Florida State, because of the first two games, then maybe that's not why it happened. But maybe it's because just the team's overall demeanor and what they expect and their expectations. Maybe they looked at the tape and they knew that they could beat this team, and they lined up, and they probably knew pretty early that they could, and they just had to get the points on the board. But that's really what got me was their demeanor and their way that they went about it. Like when we beat Virginia Tech 2 years ago, and we beat Clemson, obviously Clemson's huge, but still, it was just a little bit different. And as much as it was, I mean, again, we hadn't beat them. Last time we beat them, Floyd Little was the running back. And, that's kind of a big deal. And to see the reaction is more like, not a wow, it was a feat, but it was more of it was expected. And that's like the one thing that I took away from that is it looked expected from the fans, and it looked expected. Well,
it wasn't close either, so it was like you had all that time to soak it in, while you were watching them just trounce them.
Right.
The Clemson game was a little closer,
Yeah, I mean, and obviously they have some issues on the offensive line that they need to clear up. But it's still Florida State, and Taggart's a proven coach. So that's just a rebuild. We had some ugly games. Babers' first year when he came in and put his offense in. So again, our defensive line, like we talked about before the preview, was more or less, that was kind of what we were looking at. I knew the offensive line was a little beat up and a little just having, the offense having issues with communication, and that was pretty evident. And I'm glad that we never really let them get any momentum or get any.
They never got in a rhythm, and they never.
Never did. And we were loud from the beginning. I knew there's a couple guys. There's a couple guys that I knew that were at the game, and they were saying, it could be filled a little more, but the noise was there. So
they were expecting more, but I'll take that. I'm not going to be the guy who complains, and then when you get a decent turnout, complain that it wasn't enough. So they were loud. You could hear them on TV, and going back to the offensive line, you're having problems with your offensive line when you decline being helped up by one of your linemen. It was
almost like what a little kid would do.
Oh my gosh, he pouted on the ground.
He wanted nothing to do with that whatsoever, and that was awful. But that was kind of at the point where no return.
But when you show that's blood in the water.
Dude, he got hit 16 times.
I know, that's crazy.
Knocked to the ground 14 times.
It's crazy. It's awesome. Yeah, he was brutalized. He really was.
For nothing, that Cam Akers, their running back, is he's
pretty good.
He's a an NFL running back, and he only had 10 carries. So there's an issue there. I mean, there definitely would say there's a little bit of an issue with coaching. I mean, I don't care.
I mean, he averaged 5.2.
Yeah, and like you said, it was kind of a blowout there near the end, but for 3 quarters it wasn't.
Yeah, in the first half,
the first half was 6-0. He should have got 10 carries at least in the first half. The way that offense.
And they blew it. They blew it at the end of the first half. I don't know if someone wasn't paying attention to the clock, if the coach wasn't, telling his players what they need to do.
They should have just clocked it and went out and kicked
clocked
the field
goal. Kick the damn field goal and take the 3 points. You just cut the deficit in half, and you go into the locker room, and if I'm not mistaken, they got the ball back too, right? They got the ball. They deferred. So they got the ball.
No, Syracuse got the ball.
Did they? Okay, all right. Well, either way, you could have cut the deficit in half at that point, and it would have been a tight game. It would have been some momentum, at least a little bit, for crying out loud.
Right.
They just were not on the same page at all. A couple things to take away. In my opinion, I think this is the first game since Dungey became a starter where they actually played like a complete team on both sides of the ball after he left the game. And wasn't there. I mean, his presence wasn't even on the sideline. And we've seen last year, especially, we've watched a literal collapse.
Maybe that's what it took. Was to him to literally be not there.
Not be a presence at all and just be gone. Yeah. Right. I mean, it could be. Because
you never know what players are thinking when Dungey's, if he's going to be on the sideline the whole second half, begging Babers to get in and saying he's good.
Right.
You don't need all that. So,
right.
And to be perfectly honest with you, it was everything that this team needed. Because now we have that confidence, like you said, the team has the confidence, and at the same time, now Dungey, he has a little bit of competition. I know he's a little banged up, or as Babers would say, has some owies, and he says that he's good to go for Connecticut. But
I don't know if I use. Well, we could talk about this later, but
okay, yeah, we'll
talk about it later. We'll talk about that later. This was my upset pick. I mean, I guess it was still an upset. I mean, there's a lot of talk about. There's a lot of talk about FSU sucks more than anybody giving credit to Syracuse. I'm talking
There's
nationally.
People calling for his job.
Yeah, jeez,
he's 3 games in.
I know, but that was my upset pick. We did the poll on that. I think.
You were all about that. I thought that there was a chance, depending on just because it was early. I think that's key. If this would have been the second to the last game, then they could have figured it out by then, and
absolutely,
who knows? So
right.
I'm happy with the scheduling this year compared to the past couple of years, but yeah, you definitely were all over that upset. I believe I picked my upset with Notre Dame, but
that would be awesome. That would be more sweet, I think. But I think they spread the ball around again. They only had one game where that was an issue. The first game of the season. So 7 receivers caught passes, five with more than one. And DeVito held his own. Finally, kind of like his first statement game. Like, hey, like Coach said, he played like he practices, basically.
Yeah, I think he definitely, did more than hold his own.
Oh, he did. Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't show. He wasn't scared of him.
No, he didn't look nervous.
And you could tell he's got a stronger arm than Dungey.
How about that? How about that little floater over the top on the sideline too?
Yeah. Oh, the top of the sideline. I think he hit that twice.
Yeah, he did too.
In the game.
Right. Yeah.
Then I remember there was another play where it was a quick little wide receiver screen out to the left, and the corner tried to jump it. And if that was Dungey out there, that might have been a pick six.
What do you think? Because of the speed of the ball?
Yeah. I don't know what the deal was with Dungey. We talked about it. He talked about his eye being poked, but I'm still speculative.
Yeah, I don't know. He came out right after he got that. He took that cheap shot. By the way, it was a cheap shot.
I don't think the concussion was a situation. I personally think that there's something up with his throwing shoulder, and of course you might want to say owie, but it looked to me like up until DeVito came in that there were certain plays that we were limited in, minus the one deep ball that Custis dropped, which would have been a touchdown. It was a beautiful throw.
Yeah, and he doesn't usually miss that.
And I think maybe a 12-yard or 15-yard out by Harris. He didn't throw the ball more than 10 yards, and they were more like touch passes.
Well, the one he did throw where you could tell it stung him after he released the ball.
It was the first throw of the game. he came up 5 yards short. The guy was wide open, and I think that right there was kind of showing us that he wasn't going to be able to throw those little zip 15-yard timing routes.
And that injury goes back to the first game, by the way.
Yes, it does. And, when you look at it, I know that he's saying, he's got some owies and he might be back, but UConn might be a game where you could spare him and get DeVito more experience and still get the W.
Didn't we say we were going to talk about that later? I mean, we just went over this.
Well, sorry, bud. We can still talk about it later.
We gotta look, whether you want to talk about it or not, we gotta talk about the cramping, okay? Because if I remember right, it was what's his name?
Burns,
Taggart, who accused Virginia Tech of faking injuries to slow the game down.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So the cramping. Now, I don't think that everybody out there was faking cramping. I'm not saying that, so I don't want to be put in that category. But I will say this: they play in Tallahassee, bro. Okay, first of all right. Look, you know how to hydrate. You play in Tallahassee. You know how to hydrate. Okay. 2, it was all Florida defense. I didn't see any Syracuse defense go down with cramping. I didn't see anybody on the offensive side go down with cramping. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see it. It was overwhelmingly all defense, and it was all on rhythm sequences in drives where we were running all over them.
Well, we pride ourselves in that.
Absolutely.
Since Babers has got there, it's been nothing but making sure that you have the endurance and stamina to do this and to go this. Even you saw our offensive line. There was no injuries. Our offensive line was still fresh in the fourth quarter. We got our big guys that are in that type of thing. And again, there's a difference between knowing and doing. And if your mental and your team and your want isn't all there, it takes a want. You're talking about kids. There's some kids that don't mind going out and they don't care about that stuff. And then there's other guys that they do it. So yeah.
Well, I'm not condoning the booing. I'm not condoning the booing, though I understand it. Okay. Not sure if I'd have been a booer. I don't know.
It's just part of the game.
It's part of the game.
But
it's part of the game.
I'm never one of those booers.
Right, but it happens, and it's been happening. And Orange is the New Fast is making it happen. A lot of it, in my opinion. Whether or not they're doing it or not. Syracuse is 3-0 for the 8th time in program history, and the Orange has not started 4-0 since 1991. They got a great shot to do that this week against UConn.
Great shot.
So, all right. Well, anything else to say about the game before we get into fan feedback?
Yes, actually, I wanted to bring up 2 different things. Number one, my love and hate with Ravian Pierce, because that guy, I don't know if you noticed some of the stuff that was going on the sideline and some of the things that he was doing, but he put himself in position a couple different times to get some 15-yard penalties with extracurricular stuff on the sideline.
Being in the white paint.
What's that?
Being in the white paint when
being in the white paint, and then the one time when they gave the cheap shot there to I forget exactly who it was. It was one of the players though, and they tackled him out of bounds. He came running up the sideline to go after the player, and one of the coaches grabbed him. So
you don't play for the Raiders, bro. Just ease up on that stuff.
Yeah, so I like he gets the job done, but some of that stuff, and especially the last year or two, I noticed there's a couple times when he got just some dumb penalties. So he's got to be able to control his emotions. And other thing, again, I wanted to bring up, and something that Dino Babers brought up today in his press conference for UConn, is that Jarvion Howard is going to be getting playing time.
Oh yeah.
There's it's one of those things where you just can't deny something over a certain point, and he talked about it, and he said that all 3 are going to be in there, and they're going to be playing the hot hand approach. So I would expect Jarvion Howard, for the Cuse fans that have watched him the past 2 weeks and enjoyed him as much as I have and you have.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Mo Neal, he did his thing. He played really well.
They're all great.
Yeah. I love how hard Strickland runs, and he's pretty good out of the backfield. Mo Neal's pretty good out of the backfield, and the way that he kind of slices and dices through the defense to get the 6-7 yards, he very effective. But Jarvion Howard, something about that, he's the way he's built. And granted, he was going against a tired Florida State team, but he made an NFL linebacker miss, and he put his foot in the ground and he tried to arm tackle those tree trunks of legs that Jarvion Howard has, and he turned it up and ran it for 45 yards. So,
absolutely.
And Babers also brought up something about, he's like, what was so impressive to him on that run was that Jarvion Howard being a freshman and having that kind of spotlight. A lot of times players will try to do too much to try to get in the end zone, reach the ball out, try to, put it out there unprotected. And sometimes you've seen sometimes that, that can turn into turnovers and that can turn into bad results. And he just liked how he was a team player and made sure he put two hands over the ball, and he didn't care if he got in or if he got tackled at the 2-3 yard line. He wasn't going to put the ball out there to try to, maybe accidentally something happens or some guy reaches for it and he fumbles, So that was another thing that Babers mentioned about him that he liked. So
that followed through with the was that the Ravion Pierce touchdown?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Because he got him down to like the 1 yard line, right?
Yeah, it was inside the 5. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, he talked nothing good about him. He said he's a good guy. He knows why he left Mississippi. He knows why he's here and what he's trying to do. And when Babers said that, I'm like, okay, he's a focused guy and he's already built like that. So I mean, he's going to be somebody that he's going to be a fan favorite here for sure.
Absolutely, and he's got a few years left, so that's awesome.
A few years, he's a true freshman, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's got 4 years. All right. Great. Absolutely.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House, the best damn college sports fans in the nation.
All right, if you want to partake in some of the fan feedback stuff, you can always go to our Facebook page or our Twitter accounts. We always ask for your feedback after games, and we got bombarded. The Cuse Nation was fired up after that win, and they should be. We all should be, because
we are.
It was freaking awesome. So,
yes.
First, I'm going to give away. I'm going to do the giveaway now, okay? If you go to iTunes and you give us a 5-star rating and a written review, and I read your review on the show, you will get 2 koozies sent to you, okay? If you email us after we read your review on the show. So this week goes to Mackenzie05. She says, or he? Mackenzie's usually a girl's name, so I'm going to stick with that. Just started listening to this podcast, and I'm addicted. Can't wait to listen each week. Great in-depth analysis and passion for the Cuse. All right. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Winner.
The reviews are a big deal on iTunes.
Yeah.
It helps us get recognized, and it also lets other people searching for Syracuse podcasts, they can go through that stuff, and it helps us get subscribers. So we really, really appreciate those. Mackenzie05, email us, cusemilitia@gmail.com. 2 Q's coming your way. Be like Dave. Dave, not on social media, so he emailed me a picture of him. Holding the koozie.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. That was good stuff, Dave.
With his Cuse gear on. Captain Patrick, he's on Twitter, and he's got his koozies. And so, we love it, dude. We love it. I'll give stuff away every freaking episode because I love,
hey,
it's fun.
Good stuff, man. They're helping us out. We'll help them out,
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, let's start with this because we had a troll. So we'll get the troll out of the way, and then we'll get down to real comments. Asking when I asked the thoughts on the game, Donald says, that they played another unranked team and won? Or the fact that they don't play any good teams like LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Duke. Next week, I hope my Huskies give them a run for their money, and Clemson will give them a run for their money as well. That's from Donald. Well, Donald, if I remember...
How you threw Duke in there. I mean, I know they're better, but come on. You went with like 3 SEC stalwarts and then Duke.
I know, and then you throw Duke. What's up with that? Well, Donald...
I think what he did is he went half football and then he went half basketball. So he's like Alabama, Georgia for football, Duke, UConn, my Huskies for basketball. Like, I don't know what that was all about, but definitely a troll without a doubt.
Oh, it's so funny, too, because I gave him a response. I mean, we did play LSU last year. We did play Clemson last year. We're only 3 games in right now. We still got Notre Dame, Louisville. We still got Clemson. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. We do play Clemson. What is he talking about?
For all intents and purposes, we could talk about how people think that Florida State's awful, but what if Virginia Tech ends up going and they win their side of the ACC and Samford goes and wins the D1 AA championship?
Yeah, right?
You know, I mean, because Florida State, technically, they were ranked 19th and Virginia Tech was 20th. So they lost to them and then they fell out of the rankings. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't prove anything. It's the 3rd game of the season. Calm down, buddy. And by the way, your Huskies are going to get smashed.
Well, Donald deleted his comments after Brandon ripped into him too, our buddy Brandon. So he deleted it all. So I just happened to get a screenshot because I sent it to you.
Yeah.
So I happen to have it. All right, Aaron says a slow start, but damn how we turned it up in the second after halftime. Absolutely, turned it up. This is what I love. Christopher. Great win, solid performance, subpar Florida State team, but still Florida State. Still a team filled with 4- and 5-star recruits. The defense is looking good, has looked good all season except for the second half of the Western Michigan game. Erase that, and the defense has been stout. Coming out party for DeVito. He completed 11 of 15 passes, and 2 of the incompletions were drops.
Yeah.
All in a great showing. Bring on UConn. Yeah, that was very good. Very good, Chris.
In depth.
Yeah. Brent. Love Brent. FSU is terrible. Charles Barkley Tone. He wrote Charles Barkley Tone, so we would know it was terrible. Bob, halfway to a bowl. That's right. We didn't mention that. Halfway to a bowl. Yeah. And we got 9 games left. So, it's right there and for their taking, man, John says maybe a light at the end of a long, terrible tunnel. Yeah, I mean, maybe. It's promising. It felt good. Well, he's saying, what do you mean you don't get it? How do you not get it? He's saying that it looks good.
Doesn't make sense.
What do you mean? He's saying that it looks good. It doesn't look like we're going to finish 4-8 this year. It looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, do you get it now? Now that I had to explain it to you?
You're confusing me again, man.
Peter finally played defense and beat a big school. Even if they're not as good this year, it doesn't matter. It's Florida State. Yeah, I agree. Right?
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, Steve, great win. DeVito looked poised and ready for this defense. Played really great. Must take care of business with UConn. Might be a chance to give Dungey another week to heal up, depending on his condition, the way DeVito played, and just as importantly, the way the players responded to him. So, yeah, absolutely, Steve. Great job.
Yeah.
George, keep it up with UConn. Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah, I hope so.
Richard, Cuse is looking good on offense and defense, hoping injuries will not be season-ending for Dungey, but DeVito really played well. Great win. Coach Jeff, the Orange brought the heat in more ways than the temperature. I, for one, will miss the dome field advantage.
Yeah, I don't know. You know about that, right?
Yeah. Well,
we're talking about getting air conditioning. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is sponsored by Carrier.
Well, I get it, but that's not the point. The point is that it's a great home field advantage. Beaton Babers talked about that today. He said
he talked about it in his speech. He mentioned it.
He's mentioned it in his speech, but today in his press conference, he talked about it. Someone had brought it up, and he said he's going to miss it because he thinks it's a huge home field advantage to get it like that. But
yeah, if the fans can stand it, it's definitely a great home field advantage. But they're sponsored by Carrier.
It was funny. It was hilarious. Did you see when they showed the stands? I saw some Florida State fans at like halftime.
Were they dead?
No, they were using the beer. The cup holders, the big old cup holders.
Yeah.
They're
fast
using
food
them
cup
as
holders.
fans to like fan themselves off and stuff. It was funny.
Yeah, that's great.
I never found a problem with it.
With
when
what?
I was at the games. When I was in the games,
being
I had
hot
no
like
problem
that.
with it.
Well, I think it was a little different because of the humidity and everything, and in the way the weather was this weekend. So, Zach's our boy. He's got 2 koozies. Dino can recruit. That much is obvious. Really hope he chooses to create a dynasty here. I see the vision and the depth coming together. The fans will pack it in for more games like this It's been 2 decades with one decent season. The culture will quickly turn if we can get a couple good seasons under the belt. I really think this program is a dormant beast. Yeah. Jamie, great defense today. Kevin, great game, Cuse. And he tried. Look, someone needs to tell Kevin that he's not using an orange emoji. That's definitely a tomato. So,
well,
Kevin, it's great. Thanks for your participation. But you got the orange emoji. Does not
close
look
enough, man.
It's close enough. Okay, I'll give him that.
We'll give him that. I mean, come on. They say tomatoes are fruits, right?
Tomato, orange. Michael, first of many wins this year. Go Cuse. Whose house is it? That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it for the fan feedback segment. Now Brandon was there, and he bumped into a Syracuse fan, and this is how that went.
This is Brandon here on 3-minute drill. I'm going to be with Mike. Say hi, Mike. Mike's a Syracuse fan. So, Mike, how long have you been a Syracuse fan?
Well, probably since I was about 5 years old. Come to SU, basketball, football, lacrosse, all of it.
What was your favorite game you've ever seen live at the Dome?
Miami versus SU in the Dome when Marvin Graves was on the sideline puking.
Moving forward, what's the future of Syracuse?
DeVito.
I agree. I'm big on DeVito.
DeVito's he's got to get a fair shake. He's not getting a fair shake.
And I know one more question. What do you think Dungey has to do to win against FSU today?
Stay healthy and don't get hit. Constantly running the ball.
All right, guys, that was just a few questions. I'll be walking around. I'll see you around. If you see me, come up to me. All right, take care.
So that was Brandon, and that was pretty relevant conversation towards the end.
Yeah.
Because that was pregame. That was pregame.
So, yeah, they were on top of that, and I can only imagine that there's some fans that were about. I don't kind of really understand it because, I mean, I think like Dungey's a beast, but obviously God boy, right? Like the one guy said.
Yeah, well, he didn't say a word. He didn't say a word on the Facebook page this week.
It's true. He definitely didn't. Well, I mean, because he couldn't, because it would have been insert foot in mouth. But
right.
But that
maybe
conversation,
his foot was in his mouth. That might be the point.
I agree with what happened. I mean, what they said, and obviously, stay healthy. He got hurt. DeVito came in. I agree with all of it, other than the fact that the whole fair shake thing. I don't know what else you expect when you have a redshirt freshman versus a senior that's pretty much been the reason why you've won any games the last 3 years.
He could have been talking about with the fans too, though, because he's kind of been ripped by the fans, and we've said he kind of he struggled.
I haven't seen too much of him getting ripped by the fans. I mean, okay.
Well, I saw a little bit, but
there's a little bit after Western Michigan because of like how highly touted he was.
Right,
and
he was
I think
talked
that
up
everyone's
a lot.
They're just annoyed they were annoyed of how Mahoney came in and played when Dungey got hurt. But Dungey's going to get. It's a senior year. He's been the leader. He's going to get, if he's healthy, he's going to play. It is what it is. So it's not that he's not getting a fair shake. He's getting exactly what any other redshirt freshman in his position would get. He's going to get opportunities when he gets hurt and when we're killing teams. And next year it'll be his show. And that's really all. I mean, that's all you can ask for in that situation. So and I'm pretty sure that's all anybody inside the program and even DeVito himself expects. I don't think DeVito ever is going to expect this season to start over Dungey if Dungey is healthy.
All right, Joe. So you are 3-0 in your MyBookie pick so far. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay.
I wish I would have actually made those bets.
That's why I know, right? And if everybody else had made those bets, they could be a winner. They could be a winner with MyBookie. Join MyBookie today, and they will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Use the promo code Cuse to activate that offer. Visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie. And don't forget to use the promo code Cuse when creating your account to claim up to $1,000 in free play. If you're willing, though, to wait till after 7 o'clock, you can get an extra $25 of free play when you deposit $100 or more by using the promo code Cuse25, okay? If you're willing to wait till after 7, you get an extra $25. You put in $100, you get $125 of house money to play with. So if I was you, I would definitely take the extra money. Wait till after 7 p.m. any day to sign up for that offer. Use promo code Cuse25. You play, you win, you get paid. MyBookie. Joe.
Yes.
The line Sorry. The line,
you're good.
The line for Syracuse, Connecticut, they're giving Connecticut 27.5 points, according to MyBookie. So,
Yes.
well, that's. I mean, that could be a tough call. And by the way, what was the stat you gave me on that today? You saw it at Syracuse.com?
Oh, yeah. On Syracuse.com, they said that the 27.5 points was the largest point spread they've been as a favorite since 2000 when they played Buffalo. So
Yeah. So
it's been a while since we've been.
this is probably one of your tougher picks, I would say. Last week was kind of tough too. I mean, we didn't know really what we were getting into, but
honestly, I was kind of confident in the fact that even if I thought it was going to be a close game anyway, to be perfectly honest with you.
I did too.
So I was kind of going about the feeling that it was going to be a field goal game anyway. I was expecting something a little bit,
All right. Well,
closer.
Well, you get Connecticut with 27.5 points. Now what are you going to do?
I think that this is another easy one. To be perfectly honest with you.
All right. Okay. Well, let's hear what you plan on doing, buddy.
Well, I mean, I think
Are you gonna bet on this one?
I think Syracuse covers.
Really?
And that's just,
okay. I wouldn't doubt it the way they've been playing, and they're in the dome again. I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, yeah, they're in the dome again, but I'll tell you the reason why is because, and the reason why I'm going to pick this is because yes, this could be a game where, they look past an opponent and they might not play that hard and they only win by 3 touchdowns instead of however much they should or whatever. But just the fact that Dungy's coming back, Baber said he's coming back and he's going to be starting. Like, I just feel like DeVito kind of came in and did his thing last week. And who knows if Dungy was watching, where he was watching, what he was feeling, because he wasn't out on the sidelines. But there's finally, for probably the first time, as much as Babers has said it was a competition and DeVito and all his hype, for the first time, Dungy probably feels fire under his feet.
Yeah, I would agree
and
with
that to me makes Dungy very, very dangerous as far as I feel like he's going to come out next week, and I feel sorry for UConn because they just beat Florida State, but DeVito did it.
Right.
Dungy only put 6 points on the board.
Yeah, well, he helped
what I'm
6
saying?
points. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, he didn't kick the field goals, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
At the end, but we won 30-7, which means another quarterback helped put up 24.
Right.
And something tells me, as a competitor, and the way that we know he is as a competitor, that he's not going to like that. So, if it was just some blah game where Dungy never got hurt and they just kind of split Dungy played the whole thing, or maybe DeVito got the fourth quarter or something, then maybe not. But the fact of the matter is that Dungy's actually going to have a reason to play next week. Yeah. And that just means really something bad for UConn. Yeah. That's really all it means.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to take them. I think that they're going to score too easily. If Rhode Island can put up 49 points.
UConn's defense stinks.
It's awful. And our offensive line is pretty good, and who knows how much we're even going to have to pass to do whatever. But I mean, just between Dungy running and the way that our running backs have played,
just pound it with Jarvion Howard.
And that's all you need to do. But they'll probably throw it up and practice some. I mean, they, like I said, they still got to get that, that cohesion with the receivers and with the offense and everything, and that's one of the pros and the cons, because you really only get better when you play against better opponents, but playing against better opponents brings losses. Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of teams when you play these kind of schedules and you have these kind of games, you almost got to use them as practices. So I mean, that's just how I see it. And I think we're going to beat up on them pretty good. So,
all right, Joe picked Syracuse to cover 27.5 points. That's what it opened up as. It's going to probably change maybe a little bit. But
it's probably going to be over 28 by the time said and done.
Yeah, Joe's 3-0. Will Joe go 4-0? I don't know. We'll see next week.
Yes, sir. I'll be 4-0 like that's you.
Well, that leads me to this. UConn just pulled off a win against Rhode Island, 56-49. A D1 AA school. They had some key injuries on an already struggling defense. Cornerback Taj Herring-Wilson and linebacker Marche Terry both suffered ankle injuries. Now let's assume both those guys come back to play in the Dome. okay, and everything is fine. But speculation is that there's a good chance that they won't. Let's say they do. What's your main concern for Syracuse in this matchup, Joe? And do you just maybe leave Dungey another week to rest without having any contact and get him ready for a away game against Clemson and let DeVito just start and finish a game? You got all that?
Yeah, I got all that.
Okay.
The biggest worry would more or less be sleeping on this opponent, as much as I'm not really too worried about it. You never really want to sleep on an opponent. Their quarterback is kind of a gamer. I believe he's just their leading rusher and passer. I mean, that would be the guy that I would worry about most. So as long as you control that quarterback, he ran a lot against Rhode Island. He had 26 carries. And he's been the guy pretty much carrying them. Well, not carrying them. They got whooped pretty good the first two games, and both by ranked teams. But, I mean, they got whooped pretty good. So this defense is going to give up a lot of points, and it doesn't really matter to me what quarterback plays. We're going to put up points. It's just if Dungey's healthy, if his shoulder's good, he's not in a concussion protocol, if his vision's not blurry anymore, then this still is an opportunity for him to go out there and play a half or three quarters and get more in sync with his wide receivers and get that rhythm and that kind of cohesiveness for the offense together for future games where there are going to be, the Clemsons and the Notre Dames and Pittsburghs and stuff like that. So if he's not healthy, then yes, absolutely. Give him that week to rest, and I have no doubt in my mind that DeVito can come in and beat UConn, and we can go 4-0 into Clemson. But if Dungey can play, I would like to see him be able to get in there and get a little bit more reps with the receiver. Well, yeah, if he's not that bad,
I think he needs a week. I mean, if he's not that bad, okay, fine. If he's not that bad, fine. I can agree with you, but I think he is.
Well, he might be, but still, you saw some of the problems that they still had with him and the receivers and some of the way the offense was moving in the first half. I think a lot of the second half was the fact that DeVito had a little bit of a stronger arm and the defense started getting tired.
Yeah,
but,
right. Well, yeah. I don't think he's at 100% even with throwing, even regardless of whether. Right. Yes.
Right. I think something's up with his shoulder. Right. But that's where it comes in is I think that they're looking ahead to Clemson and thinking, can we sit Dungey another week, have all these receivers in the offense get used to DeVito for another week, and then all of a sudden change it back up, go back to Dungey to go down to Clemson.
I understand that.
You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things where you got to help both players. You got to help everybody. And I think right now, Dungey still needs reps, and unless it's that imperative that he needs to sit because of an injury, then I don't think there's a reason why he shouldn't be able to come in and play a half against UConn, and then have DeVito come in and finish off the Huskies and get ready for Clemson. Yeah,
especially you got a starting linebacker, starting cornerback out possibly. Speculating here obviously, but with that said, they're struggling. They did put up a lot of points. They turned the ball over a few times against Rhode Island, but Rhode Island put up 49 on this defense. 49.
Yeah,
so
that's what I mean. Every team that they have played against has put up a ridiculous amount. I mean, their first week against UCF, they put up in the 50s. I think they played Boise State the next week, and they put up 63, I believe, something like that. So they've given up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, UCF 56. Boise State 62, Rhode Island 49.
I don't know who Matt Brown is on Twitter, but Chris, what's his name? Chris Carlson from Syracuse.com. He retweeted this from Matt Brown. UConn is the only team since at least 2000 to give up 2,000 yards in its first 3 games.
Oh,
that's a freaking big number.
Yeah. See, and that's what I mean. Is as bad as that sounds, UConn's one of those teams that would lose to a James Madison, that would lose to And Babers, he talked about it a little bit in his press conference today. He was talking about how Randy Edsall, the former Maryland coach, he came in and he blew it all up. If he installed his system, exactly what he was going to do, he put the players, no matter the year or whatever, that was going to be in there and get the experience. So they got a bunch of young guys, and they're definitely going to struggle this year. And I just don't see a way where we're really going to have a problem with this team. So again, I look at it almost as like, as long as you show up and the guys in the trenches, they just show up and do what they're supposed to do, then we should be all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. So, I guess we'll play it by ear, but we either Sunday or Monday we'll record the UConn post game. So that's all. I appreciate. Do you have any final thoughts, Joe?
Nope. I'm just super pumped, bro. Not many final thoughts about that specific game, but just the thought process of like what you talked about, being able to go 4-0 and barring a huge, crazy, just disaster that should happen. And it's the first time since 1991. So, I mean, I was 8 years old.
Yeah, 91. I was 12. So, yeah. That's freaking. Yeah,
so that's a really long time ago, man.
Yeah.
Long time ago. So that's just one of those things where it doesn't matter who we played. There's just been so much negativity towards this school, and it's a basketball school, and the fans, it just takes so long to get them on board. And I've seen it the past couple of years of Babers and some of the depth and some of the guys he's brought in, and Dungy's been a huge part of that too. But you get this kind of confidence. You go 4-0, and no matter what happens to Clemson, because everyone knows who Clemson is, it's going to be, barring, you have Clemson, Notre Dame, and Boston College are the three teams right now on paper that I think are better than us. Other than that, every other team we have a chance. And it could be a very, very exciting year compared to what it's been for, even back to the Maroon or even before that. So,
right. All right. Well, that's it. Look, thanks to everybody who goes and participates in the fan feedback stuff. We pride this show on being the fans' voice, and without that, we couldn't do that, first of all, and it would almost cut the show in half.
Thanks to Brandon.
Yeah, thank you to Brandon for going out and doing his thing. We really appreciate all you guys, and we appreciate all the reviews and the downloads and people who share posts and retweet things. It's awesome, and we love it, and we can't be more appreciative. So that's it. Thank you to all of you. Thanks to James on guitar. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
This has been the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. Be heard. Contact us on Facebook at Cuse Militia Podcast and tweet at us using #CuseMilitia.